Definitely getting a little nervous if I can make it. Hey, I'm Erik. You might know me from my regular drawing tutorials, but now I'm combining my two passions, drawing and going out on adventures. And I'm taking my sketchbook with me, getting out of my comfort zone as I learn to draw out in the elements. Join me as I step outside, explore new places, and draw what I discover along the way. This is Drawn to Adventure. Today, we're headed to one of my favorite national parks.
Oh my goodness.
Mount Rainier. Now, I've been fortunate to hike and photograph ridiculously stunning views all over the park. But this is my first time heading up to the sunrise area.
This is my favorite kind of adventure because I've never been to this part of the park. So everything is going to be brand new views, brand new trails. It's all new experiences. Looking forward to just a phenomenal adventure.
Well, that's a very inspiring view. The goal of this trip, a drawing session at Third Burroughs Mountain, a hiking trail that offers some of the closest views of Rainier's Peak. But first, we'll hike the Palisades Lakes Trail to camp and do a little warm-up drawing. All right, we're here at Sunrise Point. This is the trailhead area for our first hike to Palisades Lakes and our campsite for the night. Let's get to it. We're descending into a valley of subalpine forests and wildflower meadows. My sketchbook is buried deep in my pack and I have miles to go. But nature always fuels my creativity and sparks my imagination. That is why I'm out here. Even without a pencil in hand, I still practice my observation and interpretation skills along the way. How would I break those flowers down to simple shapes? How would I interpret the colors of the flowers in monochrome values? How would scale affect these decisions? You have to remember to slow down out here, soak in the beauty, and practice your seeing. Now, this is something I'm definitely still working on, but I gotta say, it's a good problem to have. Now, as I get to drawing here, I'm going to continue my baby steps approach that I talked about in episode 2, just focusing on some smaller, simpler subjects so I don't get too overwhelmed by trying to accomplish something too detailed. I'm just going to start out really simple, draw this little grassy, rocky situation, and I already noticed something that I don't often think about when I'm drawing wild grasses, and that is some of the grass is laying down because that's last year's grass that is now dead. Those are the things I'm looking for out here, just like little nuances to give our drawings that extra layer of detail. When you're drawing different elements in nature, think about how to break them down into simpler shapes. So when drawing rocks, I'll often relate them back to a 3D cube shape. Of course, sometimes I need to add more planes as necessary. But then after I have the shape down, I'll go in and add some texture and shade the different sides according to their value. Let's try this log next. Now here, you can think of it as a cylinder. And at this end, of course, we can see the open-ended part. But then additionally, those little broken branches are also just little cylinders. But now let's add all of our texture here. And over here, the end of the log, pieces stick out. Now let's keep developing the deadwood texture. All right, let's try drawing these little flowers and see what happens. Now for flowers, they can be broken down relatively easily into their individual pieces. So the leaves, the stem, and then the individual petals. I start with the front flowers. Now
we go back and do those ones behind, something like that. Let's try some other flowers. Okay, notice on this flower, the petals are all really random. They're not uniform. So the first thing I'm going to do is just make a circle for the center of our flower there. And now, just to make sure that I keep those petals really random, I'm just going to space them out in a random fashion.
And then I can add more petals between those here.
And just again, keep it random. Some longer, some shorter, but this way the overlapping isn't uniform. It's like we want in nature, random. Random is good. And in the center there, we're just going to do little circles. Okay, so that was fun to just sort of pop around, draw little sketches, work on little techniques, figure out little tricks and tips.
So remember, if you're struggling to draw something, think about how can you break down its form into simple shapes and then add your details.
So there you go. There's just some quick fun sketches from Upper Palisades Lake. Good morning from camp. Time to head out. First thing, I gotta filter some water. We gotta pack up. Then it's 3.6 miles to the car and then head down to the visitor center. Gotta be a contender for one of the best visitor center views. "13 feet. You know, it's just wild. You always feel like you're so close to the mountain, but you're so far away. And I'm very curious to see 4.5, 5 miles up, what that view is like.
My final trek of this adventure, the Burroughs Mountain Loop Trail. A grueling up and down 9.5 mile round trip. My goal is to draw at the Third Burroughs, sitting at 7,828 feet, where I'll be rewarded with the closest views of Rainier's Peak, short of needing any climbing gear.
The good thing about the trailhead being at 6,400 feet in elevation is there's no real forest hiking. Everything's exposed. The bad part is today is 79 degrees out. So it's just full sun the entire way. Very toasty. Love how the climate up here and the wind and harsh conditions shape these trees, causing that deadwood. But there's still little sections that are alive. Just so much inspiration if you take the time to look. Poof! Talk about inspiration.
Now to make it to the Third Burroughs, we have to get past the first and second burrows.
This is our first burrow right here. That's the second. And then a third right there.
With all the incline and decline, it's 2,600 total feet in elevation gain when you factor in the hike back to the visitor center.
Very hot. Between elevation and the heat, getting tired very quickly. All right, a little break here from the incline. This is the top of the first burrow. Looking back this way, check this out. Views in all directions. All directions. Cameras are heavy. 3 lenses, 2 tripods. Oh man, somewhere between 20, 22 pounds.
The second burrow sits around 7,400 feet in elevation.
That is the third burrow.
Heading towards the Third Burroughs, I'll lose 400 feet of elevation. Looking back at how far I just dropped down, I'm having some serious doubts.
Definitely getting nervous if I have the energy. Not just to get up, but to get back. A lot more intense than I thought. Boy, keep going.
Now, the final stretch, the most challenging incline begins.
So this is just a slog.
800 feet of elevation gain over the next mile.
Well, I have about a half mile to go. It's after 6 o'clock. This is the first time where I feel like elevation, starting out at 6,400 feet, has really worn me out. And of course, it was 79 degrees earlier. Not sure what to expect in terms of drawing, but we'll see how long it takes me to get this last half mile. All right, came up to what I thought was the ridge line and revealed another hill, but I believe just over that is the Third Burrow. Been doubting myself for about the last hour that I can make it, but these are the times where you just gotta dig deep and put one foot in front of the other. Remember, this is probably the only time I'm gonna come up this trail, so I'm gonna be really upset with myself if I am 0.2, 0.3 miles short of the overlook. Just saying that right there is inspiring me to get up and move. Just need 1 minute. Holy cow. It's just spectacular. You gotta set up and draw. This is one of those times where the hike took so much out of me. I don't know how much I have in the tank to draw. Well, that's what happens when you are so exhausted. I didn't hit record on my other camera here. So I have the mountain drawn in here, and I thought it'd be cool to combine it with my earlier drawings to make one full sketch of the adventures here. So we're about as close as you can get to the peak of Rainier here. We're sitting around 7,800 feet or so, but that's just barely beyond halfway to the top of the mountain, which sits at 14,400 feet. And fun fact, Mount Rainier is the largest active volcano in the lower 48 states. This massive glacier in front of us here is the Winthrop Glacier. It's the second largest glacier on the mountain. And while most of our main ridgelines here travel in a more vertical direction, many of the cracks and crevasses on the glacier are more horizontal. So we got to show that change with the direction of our lines, which of course will also help show the change in the shape of our mountain. And you can really see that here where the vertical wall comes down and then meets the right side of the glacier. All right, and there you go. There is a drawing of Mount Rainier from the Third Burroughs Trail and a couple of other little sketches from the trail, while being completely exhausted and forgetting to record a good chunk of it. What an incredible first adventure to the Sunrise area. The hike out to Third Burroughs was physically tough, no doubt. Exceptional. Time to head back. But like always, the real challenge was mental. And that's the same with drawing or learning anything new. You hit those points where it'd be easier to quit, but the question is, how far are you willing to push yourself? How much are you willing to struggle, grow, and keep going to see what's waiting for you on the other side of that mountain? See you on the next Drawn to Adventure. A mediocre sandwich. Never tasted so good.